Hello and welcome to the Local Music Revolution. I will be your host, Ogre. I am all for the do-it-yourself musician. As you've heard many a time while listening to this show, I truly believe that is the next great step in music, is being able to do it yourself. Sadly, many studios have succumbed to technological advances, but that does not mean that it's not going to be happening. And it's a wonderful time to be a musician right now. You can write, you can record, and you can release your music on your own. You do not need a label to finance you anymore. You can do it yourself if you know what you're doing and you have the passion to get through the learning process. You can do it, and it's amazing. That's what my guest today is doing. The fact that he is a younger gentleman writing and recording music on his own and recording for other people, it really gives me a hope for the future, because that is what is so amazing about music. It brings people together. Giovanni is the mastermind behind the Lost and Decayed project, and he is the mastermind behind UrbanChoas20 Productions. I was able to talk to Giovanni about what made him become a solo artist, his writing process, and also we get into why in the world he released an album and 2 EPs in the same year. Before I show you just how amazing Giovanni and his process is, I want to thank you for listening. This podcast is steadily growing, and it's amazing to see the strides that it goes through each and every week when I release these episodes. I have had nothing but positive responses, and it's so amazing to see that you guys are liking what I'm doing. I want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. You guys are amazing, and I have so many things that I have planned for this, but it's so hard to get everything out when it's just one person doing it. As soon as I have things available, I will let everybody know on the WordPress at thelocalmusicrevolution.wordpress.com. That is where everything that you need to know about the podcast is centered. I'm also on Twitter at TLMR podcast. I am slowly trying to build that presence up as well. I'm on Instagram, The Local Music Revolution, and always facebook.com/thelocalmusicrevolution. That is my presence. Oh, we're on Tumblr, but I swear nobody really cares about Tumblr, and it's weird. But it's updated weekly because that's the way it functions. I made it automatic, so it's going to get updated whether anybody sees it or not. So tumblr.com/thelocalmusicrevolution. If you are on Tumblr, go like it, go follow it, go check it out, reblog those posts, because you guys market this podcast, and you guys are my marketing team. And when you guys repost things, it makes everybody else see what I'm doing here. And ultimately, that's why I started this. I want to get bands out there. So, if you see that I've posted, or you see on Thursday at midnight when the episodes come out, like it and repost it. Let people see these bands. Speaking of hearing the bands, I will no longer keep you in the stranglehold that I have on you in the first 5 minutes of the podcast. Here is Giovanni from Lost and Decayed. And we're here with Giovanni Neverett. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing really good, man.
All right, so to get started, can you tell me how you came about this project that you're currently working on right now?
Let's see. Lost and Decayed actually started off. Well, the original idea was to have an actual a full band. One person on drums, 2 people on guitar, a vocalist, and a bassist.
Yeah.
And After cycling through, with friends and everything, and figuring out that, we had a lot of creative differences, and, we wanted to go through different paths, we all kind of just split off and everything. And I kept on. I had a drive inside of me that wanted to keep on pursuing, I guess, like hardcore and metal music and stuff like that. So I just decided to try to learn bass guitar, programming drums, how to, I guess, oh no, how to run recording software and everything like that to give myself, an actual song in the end of everything. And yeah, that's.
So was it really a necessity for you to do this, or was it just a gradual step that you felt was part of your the end game for you?
To me, it felt like a necessity because I had a lot of different guitar riffs that I was writing at the time, and I just felt like, okay, and I need to start putting all these things together, because once they're out of my head, then they're out. So that's when I started gradually getting into audio engineering points and stuff like that, music production, and just going off from there.
Yeah, I kind of went through the same thing in 2012. I had a band, and we only played one show, and then we broke up, and I was sitting there trying to figure out what my next step would be, and I eventually settled on building a recording studio in my apartment and going for it. So I got all the equipment, and I have enough to make a record now. I've released 2 of them by myself and an EP, and
nice.
Yeah, it's a wonderful feeling being able to do all of that by yourself, because you don't have to answer to anybody. It's your vision now.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's at first I didn't think of myself as a big picture kind of guy, and I used to always think of myself as the idiot in the back that played the drums, and it wasn't until I actually stepped out and started coming up with these ideas and having songs actually come out of me that I was like, oh, I don't need that much knowledge to start doing what I want to do, and I can gain all of this on the way. And so I went for it. I'm currently recording right now. Are you actually recording follow-up for your EPs and your album?
I'm actually writing. I'm starting the writing process on a new album in 2016 that I'm hoping to get, to be released in 2016 and stuff. Right now, I've been on a writer's block for a little while, and I'm just learning, going through different songs from Veil of Maya, After the Burial, stuff like that, to kind of expand my my musical, or my writings and everything, so I can get, different inspiration and whatever and whatnot.
So in the past, how did you write your songs? Did you sit down with guitar riffs and try to piece those together first, or did you start a different way?
Actually, a lot of them. I'm not gonna lie. The only one that I know that it kind of just all came together was track 2 off of a Solitary Artifact called Your Side.
Okay.
And that one was the very first song I've ever wrote, ever, as a guitarist or, as a composer.
Okay.
And really, all of these other songs, they've actually came along by what's it called? Recording them onto Studio One or Pro Tools or something, and then just kind of just building off of that and seeing, all right, let's see what the next step is here. Oh, hey, this works. Let me put this in here. Kind of like what is it called? Oh, there's a word for it.
Kind of like building blocks.
Yeah. Building along the way. The song just gradually just builds itself over time, and then up until I feel like, okay, it's time to end it. It's write an ending to it and see where it goes from there, and see where if it makes the cut for anything else, and if it doesn't, then I just kind of keeping in the archives and whatnot.
Yeah, when I first started, I'm a drummer by trade, so I had all these drum beats and everything, so I strung those together and I recorded that way. And I did that for 2 albums and an EP, and when I decided to start writing the one I'm currently writing, I decided to do it completely different and start with guitars first. Actually, I'm sorry, not guitars. It was lyrics first. I wanted to convey emotions. I wanted to actually have like an emotional record.
Yeah.
And so I started that, and from the lyrics, I got the feeling in my head and kind of like the flow of what the song I wanted the song to be. So I started writing the riffs to the songs to a click track, and then it wasn't until after all of the demos for the songs, just the guitar demos were done, that I started recording the drums. And it was completely backwards, and it was so inspirational. Have you ever actually tried doing something different or making restrictions on yourself while you're writing?
I'm a guitar player. You know, that's what I know first, and usually all my whatever songs I've written, everything so far has all been straight from writing guitar riffs and everything here and there. But I mean, on Close to Home, I think the newer approach that I had going towards writing that EP was actually writing drum parts that were inside my head and figuring out, oh hey, let's see what I can put on top of this, instead of actually just recording guitars, then bass, then adding drums in, you know, programming drums in, and then just saying, all right, that's the final product.
Yeah, I found that when I had writer's block, I tried to completely separate myself and do something completely different than what I was doing. I had it bad when I first started writing this, so what I did was I went into Studio One and I started making rap beats. And it was interesting because I'm not a rap fan per se, but it was something like completely different. Not that I was going to ever use it, but I did it and I was so happy. I went straight back and I started writing new riffs and coming up with ideas. It was very, very inspiring.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I'm actually kind of gradually getting into like you know, hip hop beats and everything like that, producing it and stuff like that.
Yeah, well,
I just found it kind of funny that you brought it up, and I was like, hey, I'm barely getting into that type of stuff right now.
So you mentioned that you use Studio One. Like, what's your rig for recording? What's that like?
All it is, well, with guitars and my bass, I have, well, on all the past recordings, I've used a BC Rich Warlock split into a Focusrite 2i2.
Okay.
This is for the last one, my bad. BC Rich into a Focusrite 2i2 into Studio One, then just using stock EQs and compressors and just figuring things out on my own and stuff like that.
Are you using an amp sim? Well, what's it called in Studio One?
Oh no, I'm not using Ampire. I'm using those Poolin, not Le Cab, but like the LE456 and the LE CTO.
Okay.
Which I know the 456 was a kind of like a replica version of a Angle Powerball.
Okay.
And the CTO is a Amston version of a dual rectifier.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then I'm using, what's it called? Keyfire, or yeah, it's a IR. What's it called? I forgot what it's called, but I use impulse responses, you know, for calves and everything. And I just tweak around with whatever and figure out, all right, this is the sound that I like, and press record and record.
Yeah, when I first started, I didn't really know better. and I had a half stack from one of my bands, and I actually just went DI straight through my audio box, and I used Ampire, and like my whole first record was all Ampire stock plugins and everything like that, and when I was done, I hated it so much. So what I did was I went and I got me a Line 6 Spider 3, and I've been using that, and I'm so very happy with that amp. I mean, I know a bunch of people talk crap about it, but I do DI right into the audio box with from the amp, and it works out perfectly for me.
I know with the Solitary Artifact that there's this news center over here in Madera where I actually took my little Fender practice amp and the little Boss metalcore pedal. I took it over there, and the audio engineer that used to work there, Benny Garza, he hooked up mic'd up the amp as best as he could and everything. Granted, it sounds like crap regardless, but he did the best he could. I did the best I could, while mixing and mastering it and everything. But I kind of just figured after listening back to that album, I was kind of like, all right, there has to be a different way for me to do this because the sound quality is very bad, and there has to be an easier way than, I'm going to have to bite my lip and just say, all right, you have to go to Amp-Sims and do that for a while until you get an actual half stack that you want and whatever.
Yeah, I've throughout each record that I've recorded, I find that there's bits and pieces of it that I don't like that I can change. Yeah, there's specific things that like one of the things was I didn't like I put like distortion on the bass in the first record, and I didn't like that. So this record, there's nothing on the bass so far. I have not put anything. I haven't even put EQ, and I'm so happy with it. It's simple things like that you can change that make everything better. And for me, it was about growing. It was a lot easier to be able to do that, just power my way through it, and then go, okay, so I didn't like this. I need to figure out a way around this. And this record, that's what I'm going to do. Were there any parts of it other than the guitars and the Sims that you wanted to change?
Yeah, the drums, the sample drums sounded really horrendous on both A Solitary Artifact and the Paradigm Existence. So I'm kind of glad that for an early graduation present, my mom bought me Easy Drummer 2 and
nice.
a couple expansion packs, and I was kind of like, yay! I was just really excited about it, and that's why, at least on Close to Home, it sounds a lot clearer. It sounds a little bit more natural, and I just like the way Easy Drummer 2 sounds on Close to Home than what the drums sound like on the past two recordings.
Yeah, see, my problem is I'm a drummer by trade, and the way I get my drums is I have an electric drum set, and I legitimately play the drums on every one of my recordings. The problem is with that is they're all simulated drums, and they all sound like garbage.
Yeah. I mean, at least with Easy Drummer 2, I feel like that's like the closest you can get, at least right now, out of all the the VSTI drumming plugins.
Yeah.
That are the drum machines plugins that I have found and gone through and whatever. Like, that's the closest that I'm going to get to a real drum sound unless I find a drummer, hopefully along, my journey as a musician, and learn how to properly record drums and everything. But until then, Easy Drummer 2 is going to be my best friend.
You have a song here called The Journey Above. Can you go into any of the details that went into that song or what the inspiration behind that song was?
Let's see. I actually remember when I demoed this song out. The name of it was called The Journey Above, or no, This Earth Above and Something Below. And it was like, I thought it was dumbest name for anything, and the way it sounded when I demoed it out, I was like, this, I'm never going to use this or whatever. You know, I just like left it, you know, hanging back and everything. And then one day I came home from school and I sat down just looking back at old projects and everything, and found this one, and I was like, hey, this sounds pretty damn good. Like, why haven't I used it before? And I relearned this song and was like, let me bring it up a half step higher than what it actually is. And so it was originally supposed to be in drop A, but I brought it up to A sharp and just figured, all right, here we go. This is perfect right here. I'm in love with this song.
All right, man. Well, here is The Journey Above. And we're back. That was The Journey Above. So, The Journey Above, what album is that off of? Or what release, sorry?
It's off of the most recent Lost and Decayed release called Close to Home. And, yeah.
Alright, so let's go back to your debut album. It's called A Solitary Artifact. Can you tell me how that came about, where you got the name, and about a couple songs off of that one?
All right. Let's see the name. I know a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, this is a typical, you know, kid or whatever." But I was out with a couple of friends of mine. We were at his house just kicking back and chilling and whatnot, and I had kind of just looked up at the moon and was like, "All right, I need to think of a name for like this thing. I'm finished with it. I have no idea what I'm gonna call it. All the names are set in stone. It's a debut album. What can I name it so that it kind of brings you in to listen to it?" And then out of nowhere, for some reason, it hit me, a solitary artifact, and I was like,
Nice.
"Oh, okay, there we go. There, we have we have a name now." And I kind of just discussed it with my friends that I was with, and they're like, "Dude, that is like that's a really good name for an album." And I was like, "All right, I'm definitely using it now."
Yeah, my first album was called Against All Odds, and it was kind of like,
That's an attention grabber.
yeah, it was a defiant statement, because the title track was called Against All Odds, and
Yeah.
it was about when I was a child. I was in counseling, and they told
Mhm.
me that because of my childhood, I was statistically um, more probable to become a drug addict and go to jail than anything. And I was younger than 10 years old when I was told this, and I was like, how dare you tell me something like that?
Yeah.
So yeah, my titles, they come from like personal experience and defiance, because I'm really hard headed and crazy like that. So
You're not the only one who's hard headed.
so the songs on the album, um, what are a couple of your favorite ones off of there, or ones that mean the most?
Let's see. We'll go back to your side. I remember this one really clearly because it was about a breakup that I had with some girl that was like the first girl that I've ever loved, or I guess you can say love, whatever. But I was just writing a song one day, and then out of nowhere, I get a text from her, and she's like, "We're breaking up" and stuff, and I was like, "All right, all right, that's it. This song, let me finish this up." And then I wrote lyrics for it that were related to it, which after writing lyrics for that song, I was kind of like, "All right, I'm never writing lyrics ever again," because it's it was the most horrendous thing you can ever listen to. But that one was a breakup was inspired your side, and I'm pretty sure you can tell by listening to, if anyone was to listen to that song and read the lyrics to it. And let's see, what else is on there? What else is on there? Oh, Rage. I believe that's track number 6. Yeah, track number 6.
Yeah.
That was actually my first, I guess, kind of transition from like being so like I remember writing that when I started getting into like a lot of hardcore music, like the Theater, the Ghost Inside, stuff like that. And I was kind of like, all right, let's see how what I can write, that these guys have written. And that was kind of like my first attempt at writing a hardcore song. And then Final Goodbye, that was written also about the same chick that inspired your side.
Oh,
Or
nice.
yeah, Final Goodbye was inspired by your side.
So is that
And
kind of
then
like a part 1 and part 2?
uh not really.
Okay.
I like I said, they were inspired by the same, um, I guess, event in my life, and I just kind of felt like, all right, these are two different things that they really don't need to be put together. So like, let me just make them into two different songs. And Final Goodbye was also my attempt at spoken word poetry. And that was the time I was getting into like Hotel Books and a couple of other post rock bands that inspired that song. And Lost and Decayed was the very first song, or Lost and Decayed. I think it's track 8. That was the very first song I've ever wrote in a drop 8 tuning.
Okay.
And I was kind of like, hey, this is kind of like the sound that I was really going for and everything. And I was like, all right, this is a new chapter for me. Like, this is where I want to go, kind of as a musician, and go from there. Because I enjoy like songs that take you on I guess like a roller coaster. I guess like they make you feel one way and then they'll make you feel another, all in the exact same song, you know. And that's what I was trying to attempt with that one. And let's see. What else? So actually, the last song was inspired by. I'm not sure if I'm saying this right, but Amon Amareth and their song "Twilight of the Thunder God."
Oh, Amon Amarth.
Yeah.
Yeah, Twilight of the Thunder God was amazing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody will notice, like, that whole entire song is kind of based kind of on it, so I'm probably going to get a lot of crap for that.
That's funny, man. When I was talking about the last band that I was in, it was one of my brothers coming to me, and he's like, so I want to get into Viking metal, and you're the drummer I want. I was like, okay, I've never done this, but we'll figure this out. So, yeah, for about a year and a half, I was heavily influenced by Amon Amarth and how they played and what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's I got really heavy into them, and that was the album that I actually fell onto and really dug into. That whole CD was just incredible.
Yeah.
So what about the Paradigm Existence? What's up with that name? And what are some tracks that you dig off of that one?
How is it named? Let's see. I was out with a friend of mine, and me and him were. I don't mean to mess up anything, but we were smoking a bit, smoking weed and whatnot, and I was just kind of like, I need to. This was also one of those dumb things that I said. Let me see what I can name this thing, man. All right, Paradigm Existence. And I was like, I wrote it down on a piece of paper, and I found it in my wallet the next day, and I was like, let me see what these two words mean real quick. So I looked them up and felt like, all right, these actually go together, believe it or not, and that's how Paradigm Existence became.
Nice.
Or the name of it came.
So I'm looking at the track listing, and 4 and 5 are Chronos Part 2.0.
Yeah, by In Dreams.
In Dreams. I have not heard of In Dreams. Can you explain?
They were a gent band in 2013.
Okay.
I made a lyric video to the song that I covered, and I had the bassist Thomas. He was like, "Oh, dude, this is sick. Like, this is cool. Good job and whatever, blah blah blah." And then later on that year, I found out that that they split because the vocalist decided, oh, I thought this was only going to be a basement project, so I don't want it to take off more than what it already has, and so that was cut off. And then I learned the song Chronos 2.0 by ear, and was just like, okay, nobody's making remakes for the song. Nobody's doing the song justice, cover-wise, vocally, guitar-wise, or drum-wise. I was kind of like, let me see what I can do, and I was actually kind of surprised of how kind of close I got to the actual song.
Nice. Can you explain how you came up with the title of your latest release, Close to Home? And can you also explain how you came up with the song and the idea behind The Journey Below?
Okay. Close to Home actually happened, or I got the name for it after receiving my acceptance letter to Santa Fe University of Art and Design, and I was kind of like, okay, I'm going to be leaving in a couple of months. I need something that'll represent the last bit that I'm going to be here in California. And those songs they felt close to home because they were just ones that tracks 1 and 2 were ones that I've had laying around for I don't know how long. And I've had friends come over and help me write track 1 and track 3. And, it kind of, at the end of recording it, I was like, that's definitely the right, the right name for this release.
Yeah. All right. So, The Journey Below, how'd that song come about? What is it about?
It's just another extension of, I guess, I don't know how to explain it. Like, you have to listen to both of them to kind of, I guess, get in the mood. Okay. Because with my songs, I listen to them and I feel them. Like, I have, like, some sort of emotion that's kind of like, this is so good, and, like, damn, I made this, and whatever, and whatnot. And, like, it puts me in that mood where, like, you're going up a roller coaster, and then you're coming down, and then going through so many loops and turns and corkscrews and everything.
Yeah.
Like, it's a journey, basically. And that's why I named those songs The Journey.
All right, man. Yeah. All right, well, here is The Journey Below. And that was The Journey Below. All right, so Giovanni, it says that all of your recordings are produced by UrbanChoas20 Recordings. Can you explain that?
Yeah. Let's see. UrbanChoas20 was a name that I've had on YouTube since I joined that website in '08.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't know why I named, or my username was that, but it's always been UrbanChoas20 since the beginning of, I guess, starting my profile up on there. And as going through recordings and everything, I was like, I can actually, I can make a living off of this, doing, recording other people. It'll give me experience and give other people an experience at the same time.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's based UrbanChoas20 Productions and Recordings is something that I run outside of my house, and what you hear off of Close to Home is what you're going to get off of or out of UrbanChoas20 Recordings.
So, have you actually been working with any other artists than yourself?
I'm currently tracking a hip hop mixtape right now.
Oh, nice.
Believe it or not, yeah. There's this kid, Jordan, who came up to me one day and he was like, I heard you used to, do all this stuff over here and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, I do all that still. And, why did you bring it up? Oh, I heard you produced a couple of my friends' songs and everything. And I just wanted to know if you can help me on my mixtape and whatever. And I was like, all right, sure, whatever. And he's like, I'll give you $65 to do it too on top of that.
Oh, damn.
And so I was kind of like, all right, whatever, all right, I'll do it. And so we started that last Saturday, and he has a couple more songs to finish up, and then it's off to mixing and mastering.
So, how is it different from writing like rock and metal and the hardcore that you've been writing for yourself, as opposed to the rap beats? How is it different for you?
I don't know. I guess I don't know. That's a hard one. That's a hard one to explain. I guess producing and writing a lot of like metal music and doing all that stuff. It's just something that I know that I've listened my whole entire life, and then for a couple of years I've been gradually, getting into like a lot of hip hop and R&B stuff, and kind of just trying to expand my music library and try to find different inspirations, either everywhere else besides just sticking to metal and everything. And yeah, I seriously think I'm going off on a left curve right now.
Oh, that's fine, man. So when you're producing these rappers, are you writing the beats for them and they're rapping over it, or do they come in with their own beats and you kind of like try to polish it up?
Yeah, I come in. Well, they come in with their own beats and whatever, and I have them record through a microphone that either they bring in or the one that I have, and I just track them over the beat and mix, master, and try to make it sound professional enough, and then send it off to them and see what they think. And if they think it sounds good, then we release it. If they don't think it sounds good, then they tell me what's wrong with it, like what they don't like about it. If they don't like a certain reverb on their vocal, or some sort of whatever. And I'm just like, all right, time to go back to the drumming board, erase, go back on it, send it back. What do you think? Good? All right. Master it. Released.
So when they bring in the beats, is it MIDI files, or do they bring in like MP3 files that they've already?
They bring in WAV files, which is something that I've been getting on uh, I'm going to start getting on the newer, I guess my newer clients.
Yeah.
That I would rather have stemmed out multi-tracks rather than just one single file, single WAV file.
Yeah,
Because I want to be able to, okay, this needs to go over here, or this, let me pan this out, let me lower this, because sometimes when you're tracking someone over their own beat, it's too muddy and everything, and I'm kind of like, I wish I had your project file so I can fix it up a little bit, because this needs to be lowered and this needs to be off to the left and whatnot. But I work with whatever I can work with,
Yeah, I completely understand that. One of my biggest things with recording mine, like I was telling you, the drums I record are from an electric drum set, and
Mm-hmm.
basically what happens is I perform the track and it's saved onto the drum module, and then I have to transfer it into a stereo file through my computer. So I don't get to mess with just the bass drum or just the high tom or just the snare. It's two tracks and I'm screwed.
Yeah.
And that I hate that so very much. I cannot stand it. I completely understand where you're coming from. I mean, it's just the little things, like being able to pan something to where it's not dead center.
Exactly.
Yeah, it gives it a whole different spectrum, a whole different feeling, and it's having that control will actually make or break a song.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, so you've only got just the one gentleman that you're recording right now.
Mhm.
And
Yeah. He's the only one that I'm working with right now. I had some guy and this kid named Isaiah who goes by King Zane. I recorded his whole entire thing, and he said he was going to give me $65 for it and everything, and I was fine with it. And after recording stuff and putting things up for him, I never received money, and he kept on dodging me and whatever. He wasn't responding to my calls or my messages.
oh
So I kind of was like, all right, I'm going to take everything down that's on mine profiles and everything, and you have your release on your phone. You can do whatever you want with it.
yeah,
Just all I ask for is just credit for mixing and mastering your songs.
yeah, man.
And that's been like the only bad thing that I've had. I guess just running this on my own, just being kind of just taken advantage of, I guess.
Yeah, that's unprofessional. That's really not cool.
Yeah,
That's how you make a very bad name for yourself in this kind of industry. People don't
yeah,
work with people like that, and it's terrible that you had that happen.
yeah. But you learn from your mistakes, and what can you do? Stuff happens.
Yeah, no kidding. Um, so you talked about your studio setup a little bit earlier. Your recording and everything. Um,
Hmm.
so back to that. The instruments that you play. What are they? What are you using right now? What feels comfortable for you when you're writing your music?
Let's see. I actually received the 25th anniversary Ibanez RG
Oh, nice.
for Christmas. Yeah, I was pretty stoked about that, and that's been like my main guitar since the beginning of this year. Like the new song that I wrote called John it's kind of like Scale the Summit ish, just tapping stuff. Like if you listen to Atlas Novas,
Okay.
you'll understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, like I said, that's just been my main guitar right now. It's all stock. I have the Dario strings on it, which I string up all my guitars with the Dario strings and
Oh,
everything.
nice.
And then I think I'm going to use that one strictly for leads from now on because of how awesome it sounds, and it has a tremolo system in it. So I'm pretty happy about that. Uh, my DC Rich Warlock, it's like a hardtail uh, guitar.
Yeah.
It's my very first electric guitar, and I'm actually pretty happy about how it sounds on Close to Home, what's it called, Paradigm Existence, and A Solitary Artifact.
Nice.
And I'm pretty surprised because that guitar is also stock, and like I said, I'm pretty surprised about how it made everything sound. And what's it called? I have a PV Void that I have. It's an active pickup guitar.
Oh wow.
But I just need to replace the pickups because I kind of broke the little battery holder in the back. So I'm kind of like, I need to go to passive pickups instead. And then I have a Sunlight acoustic that I use for the interlude on A Solitary Artifact. I forgot the name of it.
Okay.
And then I have, the only bass guitar that I have is a PV Foundation S 4-string guitar that's in candy apple red. And I use some pretty big gauges on that. Like, I use 140s.
Oh wow.
140s. Yeah. That's like the thickest string on there, and I can only get it down to like drop A with only 140s. Like if I go any lower, or with a lower gauge, I can't get down to drop A, and it just feels all loose and wonky.
Yeah, my guitars are like my babies, man. I love Is your Warlock the one that kind of sneaks in every time you need a go-to guitar?
No, not anymore.
Okay.
The Ibanez is actually my go-to guitar now because of how clean it feels. It's like, it's my perfect guitar that I own right now. Like before that, it was the Warlock, and then the Void was it from time to time. But like I said, right now my go-to guitar is the RG because of just how amazing it feels, sounds, and performs, and it's a very, very nice fluorescent pink color.
Oh, nice. Well, for me, my favorite guitar is it's a Dean Custom 250. It's like this low end model. It was about $150 when they came out. And
is it kind of like the Dimebag Darrell model?
No, actually, what happened was I went to Guitar Center because I decided I was going to learn to play guitar, and I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go after a dime guitar, and they didn't have anything, and I was pissed, and I look down and I see Dean, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And I pick it up, and it's like a Strat shape guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And to be completely honest, like, I never thought Strat shapes were any good. I didn't like them. I didn't, I liked the ML shape. And I picked that up and I played it for a little bit, and I'm like, this guitar is actually really nice. It feels very comfortable. So I bought it, and it's become my favorite guitar I've ever touched. I love that thing so very much. It's my baby.
Yeah. That's the same thing with this Ibanez guitar, because if you look at the PV Void, it's kind of like an Explorer, Gibson Explorer-ish shape.
Oh, nice.
Actually, RJ. Oh, never mind. I'm Explorer. Let's just stick with that. It's kind of Explorer shape-ish, and it feels good, just to sit down and play and everything. But it's not the best one to, like, if you're going to go over and play in front of a crowd of a couple people. It's not your best guitar to go to. And same thing with the Warlock. It's comfortable. It fits perfectly, where I need it. It plays good. But just, if you're standing up and practicing and whatnot, it's not the best guitar. And that's why I'm glad I got this simple RG style body and everything. Because it's perfect. Like, I can fit it where I need to, whatnot, and it's an all-around perfect guitar that I own currently.
Yeah, man. I do. I've actually been able to acquire some of the ML shapes, the Dimebag Darrell kind of shape guitars. Um,
Mhm.
I really, really enjoy those guitars because they sit perfectly on your lap. If you're sitting down, then there's a way to hold that guitar where it's like so comfortable. It's it really holds itself to you. And I have a couple of flying V's that just they're so awkward, and the way the input is, it's terrible.
Yeah.
But I cannot say enough about the Deans that I own. They are amazing. They sit well. They feel comfortable. They're just amazing guitars. Yeah. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
All right. So what we're gonna do? Can you tell me about what is that? End of an era, I believe. Wait.
Oh, Era of a Dying World.
There you go. There you go. Can you tell me about Era of a Dying World?
Let's see. Um, that one actually came to me while recording because I wrote everything else up to before it goes into like I guess like a what's it called like breakdown-ish type thing.
Yeah.
Before that, I wrote all that out like on all in one day, and I was kind of like, I need to add on to this. So I slept on it next day, plugged in my guitar, and then I was like, let's see how low, like how far down we can go and see what's going to come out of it. And there were a few takes where I was like, this isn't it. This isn't the right what it should end off of. And then so finally, I think it was at like 12 o'clock in the morning, like noon, I was like, all right, this is it. This is perfect. Like, I spent a whole like 7 hours just going through it and just like, all right, something needs to come out and end this song off right. That's heavy. And I was like, all right, this is perfect. 12 o'clock, done.
All right, man. Well, this is Era of a Dying World. And that was the era of a dying world. Um, so Giovanni, few questions before we let you go. Firstly, what is your dream gear? What's your dream guitar that you want to own?
Uh, it's uh, it's between that the Ibanez Toshinabasi 8-string model.
Oh wow.
That yeah, like that. Like as soon as I saw it, like last year, I was kind of like that's clean. I want it, and I haven't had the opportunity to go over and play with it or anything. And I haven't messed around with any like 7 strings or 8 strings, but it just looks like one of those guitars where I can go over, pick it up, and just be like, okay, this feels right. This feels perfect. It seems like a perfect guitar, and it's between that one and this is a custom builder. I'm pretty sure I'm saying his name wrong, but the Cirque 7 guitars.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of those before.
No, I haven't heard of them.
Yeah, they're in like the UK and everything. They make custom guitars and stuff.
Okay.
Because I listen to a lot of like progressive metal and stuff like that. A lot of the guitarists that I kind of idolize, they own guitars from that company, and that company does like full-on customization on production model guitars, which is something that I was like, hey, I can get this neck on this body and these pickups with these strings, and I can get these tuners with this bridge and blah, 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 on and on. There's like, it's an endless world of possibilities over with that guitar company, and I kind of had my eyes on them for a while now. And it's just a matter of saving up $3,500 and giving it to them and just giving them the specs that I want, and just waiting forever for it.
Yeah, no kidding. So for me, it's a toss-up between 2 guitars for me. One would be the ML that Dimebag has in the Save Me video from Damage Plan. It's like this. It's like this broken glass kind of top, and it's just, oh my goodness, I don't know why. He's got other ones that are just as amazing, but that one just, I saw it and I was like, that is what I want.
The one that he has that really catches my eye is the one with the Alabama flag on it.
Oh no. The second one would actually be a second Dean Custom 250. They're extremely cheap. I saw one for like $89 at Guitar Center, and I didn't have the money. But if I can get a second one that is just as amazing as my first, I would be so happy.
Yeah. Usually with like production model guitars, it all depends on who you're buying it from and how, like, I guess different managements and everything.
Yeah.
Because I know with Gibson, they were raising their prices towards the end of 2014, and now they're kind of starting to like go down, and that's because they're having like a new, I guess, manager or whatever go in there, and you can sort of see and feel the difference between like a couple years ago and then until now, and that's something that I kind of look out for, especially when I'm buying like brand new guitars.
Yeah.
Like I look, okay, this is how this feels. Let me go to a newer model and see how it feels. If it doesn't feel as great, or if it does, just figure it out.
Well, I'm pretty sure the Dean company actually has a custom shop themselves, and I'm almost positive if I'm like, I want you guys just to recreate this guitar. Every spec for this guitar, I want on another one, and I'll pay you for it. I'm pretty sure that they'll be like, okay, yeah, I think that's doable. We made it before.
Yeah.
So with recording gear, like, is there any upgrades that you want to get? I know it's always advancing and it's so hard to keep up sometimes, but I know me personally, I want so many things that cost so much money.
Mhm.
It's terrible.
Yeah. I guess for right now, my eyes are kind of set on the PreSonus Studio channel, the
Yeah.
the two channel strip that they have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, I kind of want it just to see what it would do with guitars and bass before going in and actually tracking it and stuff, because I've seen a lot of great reviews for it and everything for vocals, and I'm just kind of like, all right, maybe if I get my hands on it, I can do something different with my guitars. I can make them sound a lot heavier or brighter or whatnot, and that's one thing I know I have on my wish list. Along with that is a set of JBL LSR 305s or 308s, and my friend Benny, uh, he owns a pair of those, and I got to go over to his little home studio thing and check them out for myself, and they have been one of my favorite monitor sets that I've looked around for, and I've kind of had my eyes on them for a good year and a half. And I guess some new mics for hip hop and stuff like that, and if I get people wanting to like stream or whatever into microphones, I have be like, hey, I have an SM57 and an AKG whatever, blah blah blah, or whatever. I have all of these microphones here. Just we'll test them out real quick and see which one fits you and stuff like that. And
I actually have I have a set of mics I just got for this podcast. They're Behringer mics. They were really cheap. They always had good reviews, and that's why I got them. It was a set of 3 for $40, and like I couldn't beat that. And
yeah,
I mean, they're clear, they're wonderful, they're better than the SM57 I was using before.
yeah,
But I also, when I first got into the recording, I bought this bundle that had M-Audio monitors and an M-Audio mics that were they were condenser mics. There's one wide diaphragm and then one pencil mic, and I got all that for like $150, and it was just they're so good. They're so clear. They're crisp. If I
yeah.
turn up the gain too high, they pick up like my TV in my living room. They're amazing mics. They're the MXL 990 and 991.
Would they happen to be red by chance?
No, they're like this silverish, goldish color.
Oh, okay, because I was looking at some NXL microphones myself, and there was a set for like $75, and it was red, and I thought you were kind of going along with that. And I was getting ready to say, hey, I was looking at those right now.
Well, they're about. I think the set by itself is about $100 for the 2 mics, and I would tell you, if you're strapped for money, those are really good mics. You just got to learn how to use them properly.
Yeah.
And they'll work for you. The large diaphragm, every vocal I've recorded comes from that diaphragm mic, and it's so clear and so good. I did recently get an SM57 because I'm trying my hand at reamping and recording my amp. That's when it's not in DI, when it's just out in the room, and I've been recording vocals with the SM57 too, and that it's kind of gritty and high end vocals. It's a really nice blend with the condenser mic. I really enjoy that. Excuse me. For me though, for my studio, I want to get a larger amount of channels that I can work with. PreSonus has like 8 channel. They have the mixers that are 16 and 32.
The Studio Live mixers.
Yeah.
Yeah. the 16-channel one is one that I'm kind of looking at too.
Yeah,
Like I'm like, oh, hey, this looks nice.
yeah, me personally, my goal for my studio is to be completely self-sufficient. I want to be able to record my acoustic drums. I want to be able to record vocals and just everything. I want to be able to do all of it by myself.
Yeah, like
And
give people a big production sound, like a big studio sound, and professional, but still have like the cost, have your cost down to where everybody, like it's affordable for everybody.
yeah, man,
That's the deal.
and that's the great thing about home studios. I know it's probably killing the actual recording studio industry,
Yeah.
but I can't tell you how many mornings I've woke up from a bad day at work the previous night and I've gone into the studio.
It's really convenient. And that's something
Yeah.
that I think a lot of big producers need to understand, is that it's really convenient with you, or for people.
Yeah, man, there was actually this musician. I don't want to name names because he's actually a pretty famous musician. But recently, it was actually last year. Sorry. He was talking about how his record label wouldn't give him any more money to record his new album, and the problem with that is he's a musician. He admitted that he had a studio set up in his house to record demos, and he was just making excuses and demanding more money.
Yeah.
So the problem for me with that scenario is I can DI track guitars as long as my guitar is fully functioning and tuned and intonated and everything like that. I
Mhm.
can go DI and record a direct in signal and then go and reamp it 2 days later. I
Exactly.
I don't need $10,000 to go and do that at a real studio. I can do that at home, and if I
Yeah.
wanted to take it to the studio, I could just say, "Hey, play this, reamp it in your facility, and I would
Mhm.
like to take the track home."
Yeah.
And it was this guy signed to a major label, and he's complaining about it. It was terrible. It infuriated me to no end.
Mhm.
It's little things like that that make home studios so much more viable for
Yeah.
musicians, and you don't actually the best part is you don't have to be signed anymore. um
Yeah.
I really enjoy the fact that, like, what you're doing and what I'm doing, we can write music and release it on our own,
Yeah.
and we call the shots, and it's
Mhm.
so very nice.
I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure you also. I would like to be signed to some, like, either Sumerian or Media Scare or Central Media, with all the bands that I listen to and everything. But I mean, with all this stuff, learning more about the recording industry and the music industry in general, about how it's kind of like just kind of really dying down because of the digital age.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's best just to keep it to the point where, like, okay, I can manage this myself. Let me just leave it at that.
Yeah, man. I mean, record labels are essentially oops record labels are essentially loan officers. They're banks, and you have to pay that back. But for independent artists, I mean, you don't have to pay anybody back. You
Yeah.
go, you sell a CD, then you have the price of your CD as a profit.
Mhm.
And I know a bunch of people that do that. I mean, we were talking about rap, so you've heard of Tech 9, right?
Yeah.
Biggest rap.
He has his own record label.
Yeah, he's the biggest independent artist in the world right now,
Mhm.
and he sees all that profit. I mean, well,
Exactly.
him and his partner see all that profit, and
Yeah.
it's one of those things where right now it's an incredible time to be a musician,
Mhm.
and anybody actually. I mean, if you have art, you can get your books printed, you can get your comic books printed, you can get
Mhm.
CDs printed for you. It's an amazing age to be able to be in right now.
Yeah. Most definitely.
All right, man. So sorry. Yeah. So, how can people get a hold of you? And how can they find your music?
All right. Everyone can get a hold of me through the Lost and Decayed fan page on Facebook, which is Facebook/LostandDecayed.music and everything like that. Or
Okay.
the album cover for Paradigm, the Paradigm Existence should show up if you type it in the search bar.
Okay.
And YouTube page is UrbanChoas20 Productions, which has all. It actually has a new song that I wrote called John, which is the one I was talking about earlier, and it has streams for the 3 recordings that I have out right now, a couple of old lyric videos that I made, and let's see, Twitter at UrbanChoas20, Instagram UrbanChoas20, Bandcamp Lost and Decayed Music, SoundCloud UrbanChoas20 Productions. Let's see what else is there. Yeah, and that's it. That's it.
All right, man. And before we leave, one last question. What is the future of Lost and Decayed? What is the future for UrbanChoas20? Well, what do you see yourself doing in the next few years?
I kind of expect with not Urban Chaos, Lost and Decayed, some new, better structured songs, kind of more in like the newer prog metal stuff, like I like atmospherical, melodic, really just kind of gets you in that mood where it's like, wow, that was beautiful and stuff like that. That's the stuff that I kind of want to get more into writing and stuff and get a lot more creative with my music in that aspect. I'm hoping at least to play a show or two, hopefully within the next 3 years, either by myself or with fill-in members, and play a few songs off of the 3 recordings that I have, and I guess just keep on writing music, acquire different, guitars and everything, and just go from there. And then for UrbanChoas20 Productions, I kind of want to expand it more. Instead of just it being a simple recording thing, expand it into going into like digital art, kind of like I guess Google. Or hold on, wait, I'm kind of going off. Like I'm trying to see how to word this. Go into like film, have people there that can record or do film stuff, and just kind of make it into like an actual company instead of it just being myself, I guess.
All right, that sounds good. Very ambitious, man.
Yeah.
All right, well, before we get going, I want to say thank you very much for your time, and
thank you for having me on.
Well, it's been wonderful talking to you. We're at 1 hour and 12 minutes now. It's been great.
Man.
Yeah.
Doesn't even feel like that.
I know. It's very fun to be able to do this. Thank you for your time and your insight. It's been really cool talking about all your projects. Good luck with everything that you're doing. And I hope to hear from you very soon. All right, brother?
All right, man. Thank you so much for having me on here.
It was no problem. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me. Have a good one, man.
You too, man.
And that was Giovanni of Lost and Decayed and UrbanChoas20 Productions. He was an inspiration to me because he was so young and so into the music, and it's really great to see that. I really dig what he's doing right now, and he's only going to get better, and he's going to get bigger, and it's great to see this at such a young age. I'm interested to see where he takes his talent, and I'm very, very, very happy for him so far. Go check out Lost and Decayed on Bandcamp. When you talk to Giovanni, tell him you heard the interview here at the Local Music Revolution and tell him that he is awesome. As for me, I'm very interested in what you have to say about this show. You can always contact me at facebook.com/thelocalmusicrevolution and on Twitter at TLMR Podcast. The podcast is also on WordPress. That's where it's all run through. Every single bit of information you need to know about this podcast is on WordPress. Go there. Instead of asking questions directly, just go check it out. It's a great site. I've tried to build it up to where there's no questions once you leave that site. You can also rate, comment, add, and subscribe to Local Music Revolution on iTunes and Stitcher. All you have to do is go into both applications once you've downloaded them and look up the Local Music Revolution. We are in both directories, and believe it or not, there are more podcast catchers out there. I am very slowly but very determined on getting this podcast on as many as I can. Just be patient with me. As soon as I can, the Local Music Revolution will be on all of the podcast catchers that are available at this point. As always, I am looking for new bands and new musicians, and also companies that help these bands and musicians out. If you know of or are in one of these bands or companies, please feel free to contact me, thelocalmusicrevolution@gmail.com. I am looking forward to hearing from you guys because I would really, really like to expand the reach of this podcast. It's not just local to my region or my town. There are locals everywhere. That's why they're local bands, and they need to be heard just as much as the famous bands you may be listening to right now. So contact me, thelocalmusicrevolution@gmail.com, and I will get back to you, and we will start the process on getting you onto this show. Next Thursday is a very, very special episode. I kind of don't want to spoil it, but be aware that it is a very special episode, and I've busted my hump trying to put it together. I really hope you enjoy it. As always, this is the Local Music Revolution. I am Ogre. You are so very awesome. Take care and be good, everyone.